Hey everybody, Rachel here again with Givebutter. Thanks for joining for another success story from the Givebutter community. Today we're featuring the Junkyard Social Club, and recently their crowdfunding campaign raised over $56,000 on Givebutter, and that's above and beyond their $45,000 goal in 1 month to fund its adventure playground, coffee bar, rebel museum, and so much more. If you're looking for inspiration for a crowdfunding campaign that is fun and full of whimsy, I have the one for you. Ryan is here with me to share how he made this campaign so successful, as well as tips, tricks, and lessons learned to help you raise more funds. Ryan, thank you so much for joining me and sharing your story.
Yeah, thanks, Rachel.
Excited to dive in. I am just obsessed with all things Junkyard Social Club. But for those that aren't familiar with who you are and what you do, can you tell them a little bit more about your organization and your role in that?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So the Junkyard Social Club is an upcoming community space in Boulder, Colorado. Uh, we are technically a museum, and we have some museum background in some of our co-founders. But we come from a multitude of disciplines. My co-founder and I both come from the circus community, Burning Man communities. I have done a series of startups from a children's media company to an Internet of Things technology company and a music company. So it's really kind of this culmination of a million ideas and of communities that we've built that we're now pulling on. But we're building a new space in Boulder that is for kids and adults alike. And it's a place that families can come together. Parents can have a beer or have a coffee and talk with their friends, but the kids are actually having fun. Often when you hear about a family space, they really mean for little children.
Mhm.
As a parent, we're often forced to choose between, I'm going to go have a conversation with my friend and try to keep my kids at bay, or maybe I'm going to go sit bored while my kid does a jump house or something like that. But why aren't we living together in a big community? And that's what we're aiming to create here. So I am the Chief Experience Officer at the Junkyard, made up title that allows me to do all the fun things uh, with my partner, Jill.
Wonderful. It's just such an adventurous and beautiful mission. And I can see just from what I've looked at already on your campaign that that sense of community really came through in your approach to fundraising. So you had this month-long crowdfunding campaign to help you reach some specific milestones in moving the needle forward for your organization. Can you walk us back to the origin story of how did you know a crowdfunding campaign was right for this? How were you thinking about, raising funds that way?
Yeah, it was pretty obvious for us in a lot of ways. Community is our mission in so many ways, and we have been determined to build this whole organization from the ground up with a lot of community input. So this playground, we call it our adventure playground. It's also our beer garden, if you want to call it that. I'm sitting in a tree house right now. We have a plane on top of a shipping container behind me, and many other fun things going on. All of this has been built over the last year and a half on volunteer build day. And
Wow.
so we have been building communities since long before we started the crowdfunding campaign, and it just made sense to initiate that way.
You knew crowdfunding was right for you because community is in your DNA. It's at the core of who you are and what you do. And that is what makes crowdfunding work, is this mentality of we're all in this together, we're doing this together, we're accomplishing something bigger. So tell us more specifics as I share my screen about your campaign. How did you decide how to tell your story and lay it out and build momentum because it was successful? So we all want to know how did you pull it off?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll do my best. And at the same time, we are feeling so fortunate and so lucky. So I can't explain all the magic. Uh, but so first of all, we were looking at different crowdfunding campaigns, and obviously Kickstarter being sort of the main alternative. And,
Mhm.
and some of the reasons people tend to pitch towards Kickstarter is that it's a trusted platform. If people are giving, that they know the platform. They say that, you know, it's got this huge base of users already from across the country or the world that might find out about you. But in reality, we thought that if we're hosting the Givebutter campaign right through our website, by the time people click on the donate button, they trust the site enough. They know who we are, and they're coming to our website. So that part wasn't so important to us. And then we are so place-based. We're so geographically based.
Mhm.
That we decided to aim this campaign directly at our community. You know, we are building this for these people, for the Boulder community. And so in terms of reaching people all across the Kickstarter platform, again, not nearly as important to us.
Mhm.
And then lastly, the high stakes of the Kickstarter is also something that people argue for, that, you know, if you don't get your full funding, you're going to lose the money, and
Yeah.
that incentivizes folks to pitch in. But
Yeah.
we actually build that into the language. And the high stakes are just true for us. So this campaign really centered around $40,000 raise to build our cafe, which is just a kind of a chunk of the puzzle right now that everything is hinging on, because it has to do with permits and things like that.
Okay.
Specific ask in a specific time frame, and the urgency was real. All of those reasons, you know, weren't arguments for us to use anybody else. So we went ahead with Givebutter. And then there's the question of rewards and sort of arranging your rewards. I had a good friend kind of argue to me that the people that would be donating to us are not coming for the reward.
Yeah.
We're a mission-driven project, and the reward is intrinsic. We're building this space for you again. So, you know, a lot of campaigns, you know, the Kickstarter style is that you're more or less buying a product when you donate. But in our world, and on a, you know, on a site that's sort of centered on nonprofits, people are a little bit more used to the fact that what they're doing is pitching into a mission.
Right.
So we did end up using rewards, and we just phrased them right there in the amount. But first of all, we prioritize the altruism in the languaging of the reward. So if you'll notice, it starts with what they're doing for the community.
Yeah.
And then as an aside, we're offering things that we know that we could handle. We've heard all the horror stories about companies that, you know, promise all these rewards, and then that's their full-time business, is fulfilling things. They don't fulfill them, and it's a logistical nightmare. So we decided that it was in-person, real events that we're going to be doing anyway, like hosting little birthday parties and things like that. And we made sure that the amounts were worth it for us. That we were going to be able to take these funds and keep moving forward while we applied these rewards. So that was a strategy piece that I think really worked out. And now months afterwards, we're still trickling in saying, hey, I pitched in a bunch of money back then. You still doing that party? And what it means is that these people are now even more dedicated to our space, because they're showing up in person and they're feeling like a participant rather than a customer.
Right. Oh, that's so insightful and interesting, the different approach you took, and makes a lot of sense. How specifically what you mean when you say community was, you know, your strategy, and how that played out from how you set up your donation amounts, thought through incentives, told your story in written and video format. And you can see here in your supporter feed so many comments here of people that are deeply connected and excited about what you're doing. I also want to mention that I appreciated that you didn't take yourself so seriously. Like, there was just a lot of fun and good sense of humor in this campaign. And that's something we've seen on Givebutter, that campaign hosts, so nonprofits who are clearly enjoying themselves, invite their supporters to also have a good time while they give. And those tend to do better. Was that something that was intentional, or is that just kind of a part of your brand?
It really is intrinsic in what we're doing. But it's intentional too. When we created the video, you know, we knew it sort of needed to be of the same quality of the experience that we want to provide in real life. And you know, it's a mashup of ideas. It's fast, it's humorous, it's fun, kind of silly, but it's also, you know, imbued with this deep sense of important mission.
Yeah. So this was such a success. What's next? What are you going to be up to next with fundraising, you think?
We are we are actually battling quite a few setbacks just in terms of city permitting, and those are our delays. So we're pushing forward in every way we can, finding every way we can be open and surviving until then. And now all of that community support that we built through this campaign is floating us. Not only the money by any means, but that campaign was the most public we've been, and it was, for the month after the campaign, it was all we could do to just keep up with email, because the first time people had heard of us. And we also paired the campaign with some PR releases. So, our local newspaper and a couple of other newspapers in the area during the campaign, which was super helpful. Those connections, the parties that we then gave away, led to a million other parties that, their guests wanted to throw. And so these sorts of events and this community support is absolutely floating us while we're in this sort of gray area of soft open.
I mean, yeah, you had over 400 supporters, so that makes a lot of sense.
And I will say, those are a couple of the tips that I think were really useful to us. After we had hit our goal, we created the stretch goal idea. So we'd hit our goal and we knew we had time left. Decided to announce, hey, we're going to raise the stakes at these other items, which again, we were really careful to set that in ways that the goals themselves wouldn't take us off our path. The other piece that I think was super key was we wrote personal thank yous to every single donor as they came in.
Nice.
And one of the ways we did that, we set up an email template for ourselves. So we had some standard language, but it was custom written to every single person that donated. And that initiated the conversation that then so many follow-up, requests came through.
So smart. And for those that are following along right now, Ryan, who are, let's say they're just launching their nonprofit or organization with this crowdfunding model, or they're launching a program for their organization and they've never used Givebutter to do it before. This is a new concept to them. What would be your word of advice or encouragement to them? Yeah, like how to pull off a successful crowdfunding campaign for their new program.
Yeah. I mean, some of it is crowdfunder, the platform specific, and that's, there's some technical pieces about, uploading a video for sure. But there's also pieces that are just sort of universal in terms of a good money raising campaign, which we are new to. So I was learning on the fly. The thing that I had to take on myself and push for all of our teammates was the direct ask. In all of our communications, starting with our crowdfunding page right then and there, in the bold text, the very first text on the page right there, we underline, please donate. And so we tried to sort of encompass that in all of our personal texts and emails to people. We have to make ourselves actually ask for someone to go donate now, and I think that turned into this snowball effect. We were asking those who donated to ask their friends to donate. And by the time we had achieved our first goal, we switched the goal in our languaging to just collecting donors. So what we used was, we've been blown away by your support. We've hit our goal. Our new goal is to make it to 400 supporters. So if you know someone who would love to show themselves as an official supporter on the list, $1 will get you on that list. $10 will get you on that list. And that language also, helped our mission of building community, building connections, all of these people who are now in communication with us, and of course, raise funds too.
Awesome piece of advice. Be direct, don't be shy. Ryan, thank you so much for sharing your incredibly inspiring mission and campaign with us. Congratulations to all your success.
Thank you.
And for everybody else who's following along, thanks for joining for another success story. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to Givebutter's YouTube channel so you never miss an incredible story like Ryan's again. And until next week, happy fundraising. Bye, everybody.
Bye.